Welcome to another edition of the Lightest and Best, where we look at the lightest and best offerings from a variety of manufacturers. And today we're exploring the Maxpedition company and their lightest offering, the Small Excelsa. Maxpedition is primarily a gear company. They sell bags and backpacks, holsters, wallets, gear like that. To fill out their product line, they also made a knife. The same knife in two sizes, the Excelsa. The Small Excelsa has a blade length of 2.875 inches, which is what we're going to be looking at today. The large Excelsa has a 3.6 inch blade. Basically, it's very similar to the same knife, just in different sizes. In the past, they made a Ferox, but it's no longer for sale on their website. The blade length on the Small Excelsa, as I've mentioned, is 2.875 inches with a handle length of 3.875 inches. It gives the knife a total length of 6.75 inches. The weight of the knife is just a little under 3 ounces at 2.95 ounces. I have some other knives for size comparison. First is the Curtis F3. The Curtis F3 is a bit larger. The Browse Bionic 2, which is roughly the same size. The Rat 2, again roughly the same size. The Benchmade Mini Presidio, which is a little larger, I believe. The Hinderer XM18 3-inch, maybe a little larger, roughly the same size. And the Sebenza Small 21 with the Insingo blade, which is about the same size. The blade has a drop point blade with a satin finish in D2 steel. It has a full flat grind and a well done sharpening ricasso, which is well ahead of the fall line of the knife. The spine is crowned and has jimping for good traction on the back. And there's a little bit of an upward thumb ramp that helps also. The method of deployment of the knife is a ramped thumb stud, which gives you good purchase and causes the blade to fly out nicely. It's unilateral, it's not on the left side, but this screw can be undone and made to be a left-sided thumb ramp for those left-handers. It's slanted away from you at about a 45-degree angle. Actually, whenever I deploy this knife, I deploy it in more of a trajectory at about 20 degrees from the knife. If I had to do that over again, I would have done it. But however, the ridges on the thumb ramp grab your thumb and give you good traction for an easy deployment. Actually, I prefer this style of thumb ramp to the usual thumb ramp. I'm going to bring in for comparison the Chris Reeve Sebenza. Thumb ramps commonly are conical shaped as the Chris Reeve Sebenza. It's just the way the industry rolls. Whenever you push it though, all of your force goes on that one point at the end of the cone, and as you can tell, it can make a little indentation. All the force is placed at one point on your finger. With the Excelsa Small, however, you have a broader area and it has ridges to grip your finger, and it makes for really a better deployment than the normal conical thumb stud. The handle on the knife is a bead blasted titanium and has a lanyard hold at the end. On the show side, it has these beautiful rounded screws, and then on the clip side, it has torque spits. All the torque spits are T6 with the exception of the pivot, which is a T8 torque spits. They're able to do the rounded screw because within the knife there are D-shaped exits on the holes, which keeps the screws from turning whenever you undo them. I'm going to break away now and show you a video as I take the knife apart to see what I'm talking about. I've taken the Maxpedition Small Excelsa apart so that you can look at the interior workings. And there are some good design components here. First of all, I want to compliment Maxpedition on that for their pivot and their blade stop. They both have D-shaped openings so that the screws won't turn among themselves. Also on the only standoff, it has a D-shaped opening also. The other great design feature it has is that it has a lock bar over travel stop here. As you can tell, it's not screwed in, it's riveted in. The deficiency the knife has is that it lacks a lock bar insert. And I don't know if I can demonstrate this adequately, but if you look at the very tip of the lock bar, I'll put it at different angles, you can see where the steel blade tang, which is harder than the titanium lock bar, has worn away a little bit on the very end there. It hasn't caused any blade play yet, but that's why manufacturers put hardened steel lock bar inserts on so that the softer titanium does not wear away like it has on this Maxpedition. The pivot of the knife uses phosphor-bronze washers and deploys very well. Whenever it returns, you have to push it. It's not a free-falling knife, but the action is very good. The lock bar on the knife has an internal over-travel stop, which you've seen on the video previously. You can see a little bit of it there in this light. But it has no lock bar insert. As you've seen on the video, that can be a problem. The pocket clip is a loop-over deep carry pocket clip, right hand tip up or tip down carry only. The clip is embedded so that it can be held in place with only one Torx bit screw. The ergonomics on the knife are very good. There's chamfering on the show side. It's very smooth. There's no rough edges. There's a place for your forefinger and then other places for your other three fingers to follow. And the upward turning thumb ramp is great and gives you great purchase for your thumb. Great ergonomics. As I've mentioned, I really like the thumb stud for deployment. The action is very nice, especially the forward action, and the return action is acceptable. So what are my impressions of the Maxpedition Small Excelsa? I really like it. Are there opportunities for improvement? Certainly. The milled area on the pocket clip could have been filled with a filler tab instead of left open. I want to bring in to show you for an example the Hinder, which does a little better job. They have the same situation where they have a milled out area for a recessed clip, but the difference is, I'll turn it around, that for their place where they want to have a tip down carry, they have a filler tab that they put in there. That was just a little corner that Maxpedition probably shouldn't have cut. And they could have used a flathead screw rather than a rounded head screw to secure the pocket clip. It's good that they have a milled out area for an embedded clip, but other knife manufacturers do that. For example, here is a loop over clip of the Boker Plus Urban Trapper. And as you can tell, they use flat-headed screws that makes a wonderful profile. There's nothing to impede your pant pocket coming into the clip, whereas there's a little bump that your pant pocket has to come over with the Maxpedition Small Excelsa. The other thing I might change is the thumb stud tilt. The engineers put the thumb stud tilt at about 45 degrees. I would have had it at more of an acute angle at about 20 degrees because this is more the direction of your deployment angle. However, it still functions very nicely. And lastly, the D-shaped holes on both sides of the entry are a little difficult because they're only on the exit side currently. If you can imagine, there are 3 D-shaped holes: the standoff, the blade stop, and the pivot. And you have to get those D-shaped exits of the screws just right, and then gently lay the clip side scale on top and put the screws in and hold your breath and hope that everything stays as it is. Because once you do it, there's no way to turn these because there's no screw hole over here. So if you would have had a D-shaped hole on the entry as well as the exit, just by placing the bolt into the hole, you would have known that it's in its proper orientation and you wouldn't have such a difficult reassembly problem. Well, those are small things. Oh, the other thing is the lock bar insert. As you saw in the disassembly video, they didn't place an insert on the lock bar so the titanium is starting to be worn away by the hardened steel. The reality of the world is that most hardened steels are around a Rockwell hardness of 60, and the Rockwell hardness of titanium is around 36, so the titanium will preferentially wear away. But what do I like about the blade? First of all, I like the deployment. I really like the ramped thumb stud with ridges for traction. It's a wonderful way to deploy a knife. And I like it that it's a full titanium knife for around $100. That represents a great value. And I like the deep carry loop over pocket clip. This is one of my favorite pocket clip configurations. So, if you're looking for a full titanium knife on phosphobronze washers with a thumb stud deployment mechanism, and $100 is more in your price range than $400 for a Sebenza, this might be the knife for you. The Small Excelsa is the lightest and best knife from Maxpedition. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next knife video.